Childhood sexual exploitation. It's one of those evils that hides in plain sight. Sometimes it looks like a trusted adult, sometimes it's an older peer, and sometimes it's an online device purchased by you, a parent. And sometimes it starts with just one person paying a child a little too much attention. We don't like to think about it, but kids can be exposed in ways we never saw coming. Through family, through the community, through the internet, and through situations we thought were safe. Hello and welcome to the Main Health Show. My name is Stephanie Anderson. Now, today's guest is not new to this conversation or to this show. They are a friend of the Main Health family, and every time they're here, they leave us better, sharper, more aware, and more equipped. This is why today's conversation is imperative, not optional, not casual, imperative. Because when someone with this level of insight speaks on this topic, we lean in and we learn every single time. My guest is Jason Frey, a double retiree from the U.S. Army and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. He brings a wealth of experience to our community as a psychological operation officer with the U.S. Army Special Operations Command. Say that 3 times. Major Frey served in combat operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Transitioning to law enforcement, he specialized in major accident investigation and crimes against children, training recruits and senior officers in handling child abuse cases and mental health crisis calls. Welcome back, Jason, to the Main Health Show.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is such a pleasure to have you back. As I said in the intro, you're not a guest, you're a friend. And you've been able to enlighten myself and the guests on so many different topics. And when we start talking about today's topic, I said, yeah, we definitely need to bring it to the Main Health audience. Kind of tell a little bit about what it is that you did before and what you're kind of seeing now when it comes to child exploitation.
Okay. When I was with the Sheriff's Department, I ran the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And with that, we're going to discuss NCMEC, or National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a little bit. What we do is receive what is known as cyber tips. That is where social media platforms will say, we think this is inappropriate conduct, and they'll report it to law enforcement. They'll give us a whole packet to do the investigation. And what I saw was that it was so prevalent to have this exploitation of children, and that children were being harmed. And even what we found is that in school, especially middle school, high school, that boys and girls were being asked to send pictures of themselves that were explicit, and those pictures would be transferred for several years, and they would resurface in other times and just be very hard for that child to see and recognize they made a mistake, and it's something that's haunting them.
Yes.
And I could say it's gone even further, where we've seen it where it becomes too complicated for them, and as we've seen so much with teen suicide.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that out, because you're talking about when you were doing it then, and now we have in 2025, the numbers have just grown exponentially.
Correct.
I've seen documentaries when it comes to just what you were talking about, sexploitation, to where, we living in a day to where children have so much access to the internet that they think nothing of it. Their innocence is, if you say you 15, to them you're 15, not some 45-year-old person behind the keyboard. And so they find themselves not being mature enough to navigate doing things, taking pictures, not understanding that the World Wide Web means it is there perpetually, and doing things that sometimes kind of changes their trajectory in life, and it's really hard for them. So,
If I can add on to that,
yeah,
Stephanie,
definitely.
one thing you said, our times have changed. So when you and I were children,
Just a couple of years ago.
we had the phone in the
Yes.
main room.
Yes.
Everybody heard your conversation.
Yes.
But now society is we give our children, and whether that be for us, our,
Yeah.
our babies or our grandbabies,
Uh-huh.
we give our children cell phones and tablets.
Yeah.
And whereas we would never let a stranger, I'm going to say stranger in quotes, be in contact with our loved ones,
Yeah.
but now we give them this electronic media,
Yes.
and they have thousands of strangers talking
Yeah.
to them in their bedroom.
And we're not monitoring.
Correct.
I love the analogy because it just really brings home the fact of what the issue is. We would never allow a stranger to come into our child's bedroom physically,
Correct.
but we do it all the time when we're not monitoring, when we're not using parental controls on devices, but allowing them to be in their rooms by themselves and talking to people that mean them harm. I really like the way because it's just in black and white. That's what's done when we don't monitor or give them parameters. Um, I want to share just this. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reports that a cyber tip line doubled in a recent comparison of 2024 to 2025 data in just 1 year, with enticement reports, meaning that children were propositioned or enticed to do different things, rising from about 292 plus thousand to over 518,000. That's almost double, which it says is a 77% increase. This includes increase in solicitation, grooming, and other digital threats. What would you say? Because some people may not know what solicitation means or what grooming is. Jason, can you kind of explain that concept?
Well, if we start with the grooming is gaining that child's confidence in different means. They may be the confidant that they needed, that person to tell their innermost secrets to, and do that. You can trust me. And some things may come out where they ask that child, and I'm going to say a child, just anyone under the age of 18, to do something they would not normally do, such as send a picture. And then they might say, oh, I didn't mean like that. And now they make the child feel, oh my gosh, I sent that. And that's not what they meant. And there's just so many different ways to groom them. And what I want to say is these perpetrators or predators will invest the time. They will invest weeks, months, and years to get what they want because they can sell that information. We can get into what we refer to as sextortion.
Yes.
Because now they send pictures, and what they say is, you sent me that, now I want more.
Yes.
And that was one of my first cases working with a parent where she said, my daughter's 15 years old, special needs. This person is exploiting them and said, I will ruin your life if you don't give me more.
Yeah.
And then that person went and attacked all of her friends on the internet and shared the images. Fortunately, as a mother who was listening to her child and brought it to me, and we investigated, and we found out it wasn't local. It was happening from hundreds and hundreds of miles away. So what I do is I build the case and I ship it to that police department and say, okay, you need to, go catch this guy. Basically, I did all my homework. But looking at the extortion that can come about that, there can be the request for more pictures, more explicit pictures, and actually money as well. And there's been so many suicides to this. I gave you all the money I have. I don't have any more. But it would be so humiliating if those pictures of me were
Never got
shared.
out.
And the other thing is, I'd like to say is, children look at these as their friends.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
built that confidence. So as a parent, we say, Don't talk to strangers. Okay, let's go back to our little children.
Yeah.
When they're at the playground. I go, Mommy, Daddy,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to meet my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Really? They're your best friend? Yes. And you find out they just met him 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of easy to win a child's confidence over.
Yeah.
And like I said, these people are willing to put in that time.
Oh yeah, because a lot of times they have a backstory, right?
Correct.
They're the same age or close to. As children sometimes can share a little bit more information than they should. So maybe they could be from um, a home, double parent home, or maybe a single, but they may share something that predator can latch on. Well, that's me too. And so it's like that familiarity. Oh my gosh, not only is it somebody my age, but they're going through the same thing that I am at home. And so, like you said, it's the grooming part that makes that child feel I got a friend. They understand me, they know what I'm dealing with. But yeah, you're right. These predators are prepared to play the long game. They got time because they're a lot of times selling the pictures, like you said, on the dark web. They're getting maybe one picture, and then they request more, strong armed. You have to do more since you did this. And so children sometimes think, well, I've already made this one mistake. I might as well because my parents are going to be mad at me anyway, or my parents can't. So it's so many different layers. And yes, I have heard, and I'm sure that you have as well, that because of the shame, because of the anguish, there are some children who actually die by suicide because of the pressures, or it comes back. It's time for you to apply for college. And these images come back because we are dealing with the World Wide Web where nothing dies. What do you say to parents, Jason, that a lot of times as a parent, I know that I felt like my boys knew that they could come to me with anything. But a lot of times when parents hear that their child has succumbed to this, they're like, well, why didn't they tell me? What do you say to parents to help them to open up a discussion about such a difficult subject to talk about?
I'm going to go back a couple minutes in your
Okay.
conversation, talking about where that predator has earned their confidence. And you get me, you understand me, and where they feel their parent does not.
Yeah.
So they're looking for somebody to understand. And what we look at is going back to the telephone analogy is the children have a tendency to withdraw. They're going to go into the isolation so they can talk in private and do these different conversations where they're not being judged. And they may even tell you, well, I'm doing research or I'm doing something. But what I found when I started working internet crimes against children was I need to be more involved. I need to go in and see the electronics. What are my children using?
Yes.
And do it, hand it to me.
Yes.
And it's not an invasion of privacy. They're a minor, and you as a parent are providing that. That is your right to look at all that. And what my daughter found was she couldn't be bullied that way. She'd tell me, my dad looks at my phone every night.
I love that.
Okay, and know the apps on them. Okay, there are some children that can hide
They're
things
savvy.
and delete it and then just reopen.
Yeah.
But if that's something they're doing, they may slip up and
Yeah.
you go, what's this?
Yes.
But it takes that parental involvement.
Yeah.
Because we train our children, come to me, tell me if anybody's hurting you or doing these things to you. But when we start looking at the social stigma, the shame, and then that, I was duped. They made me send a picture. And then I believed them. They said, send me more, and I won't do anything. But they kept asking for more and more and more explicit. And as a parent, what I want to say is if your child comes to you or you discover this, don't shame them. Don't be harsh. Have them talk to you and listen to what they say. Because they want to be heard. And what they found is through that stranger or their friend on the other side, they were being heard.
Yes.
So they want to have that relationship. And what they can now learn is that I can tell my mom or my dad or my trusted caretaker, whomever that may be, and it's going to be okay.
Yes. So, we were talking about cell phones, laptops, computers, but there's also a thing where they're coming through virtual reality headsets. And also, you spoke a little bit earlier and talked about our children with disadvantages, disabled children,
Yes.
that they are sometimes targets as well. Can you kind of elaborate on those two things?
Okay. So first off, if we look at the mere fact that children don't see a threat the way we as an adult see
No.
a threat, and they will believe that the person they're playing a game with, if they're in these different arenas, whether it be virtual reality or just a gaming platform, that that's their friend.
Yeah.
And what we can find is that just if we look at autism alone, 1 in 31 children now are being diagnosed with being on the autistic spectrum.
Yes.
And what we find is that 1 in 5 children is being victimized online through any of these different media platforms. And they don't know how to experience this.
Yes.
We can recall bullying back before cell
Oh, yeah.
phones and the internet, but now there's no escape for them. They're tracking them and these conversations that they feel that they have to do what this person's saying.
Yeah.
And what I'd say is be aware of what's happening with your child.
Yes.
If they have to get to that electronic device,
Yes.
there's the anxiety you're seeing, and that they don't want you seeing what they're doing. But they also start talking about friends. And so when I look about children with special needs, I would ask a lot of my clients, how many friends do you have? And they're like, I have hundreds of friends. Really? Tell me about your friends. And then find out in reality they only had a couple friends
Okay. That they've met. Just
that they've met.
online friends.
But
Okay.
online, they have different friends.
Yeah.
And what we can say is the online could be that barrier for them where they feel, I hate to use this word, normal,
Yes.
because people cannot see their physical handicaps. They
Yes.
don't see the intellectual or learning disabilities or
Yes.
developmental disabilities.
Yes.
But they may be taking advantage
Yes.
for that because they're not understanding the context
Yes.
of these conversations.
Yes.
And that when they're talking to someone who says they're a 13-year-old girl, maybe somebody completely different.
Yes.
And I will say for every case that came to me, I took over their online persona.
I love that.
And I locked them out of their accounts. I said, you will never be able to get back into this one because I would continue to play that person. What am I doing? I'm getting to perpetrators.
Yes.
And I would tell you that if we've seen shows like Catch a Predator.
To catch a predator. I was just thinking about that.
Okay, I went through training that was sponsored by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Okay.
And what we were finding out is, I think we had a group of about 20 officers, and we were in Florida, and by being online in just a couple minutes, pretty much everyone had some perpetrator. We'd have a profile, I'm a 12-year-old boy or a 12-year-old girl, and we're being solicited saying, hey, send me pictures,
Yes.
let's meet, let's do this and that.
And that's scary.
And I'm going to add to the scariness, our predators are not dumb.
Oh, no.
They know how to mask their IP profiles.
Yes.
And what they found is if they get that child who's willing to meet them, they
Out of
need
the
to
house.
get them out of that area
Yeah.
within the first hour. That is the most vital. Because when we, as parents, notify law enforcement, we're notifying local law enforcement. It takes a while for that to become wide disbursement. What they're saying is I can get them out of the city, get them out of the state within the next couple hours. I'm probably not going to get caught.
So, Jason, I'd like for you to share with the audience what to do as far as filing a report, when to report these activities, and where, if you would, please.
Okay, Stephanie, there's a couple ways this can be done. First off, we were all taught 911. Okay, these are people reaching out to our children. So 911 can always work, but this National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has a direct cyber tip line, and that is https://www.cybertipline.org. So cybertipline.org. And the reason why that's so important is because NetMec will do all the back homework for that for law enforcement. They're going to collect the IP address and they're going to send that cyber tip to the local agency. So it's not, since we're in the San Antonio area, it's going to come right here to the San Antonio Police Department. It's not going to go to the Dallas Police Department. So it's going to come to your local region. Okay, and what do you want to be able to report? Okay, maybe you see on your child's device that they have a username. We want to report that username. We want to report the username, the screen names, the platform of the app. So whatever that may be. And how should I say, it's not important that I say which platforms because platforms change every day. But you're going to say it's on this platform. And then if you can, take a screenshot of it. But I don't want you to take a screenshot of sexually explicit things. I want you to take a screenshot of the conversation and all that. And the dates and times. Because as NetMed goes through, they're going to pull up all this information. They have the ability to retrieve the images as well. So that's why we don't need you to be doing that. And then you're going to contact law enforcement. But again, make sure we're not shaming the children in this. They're kids. And that's why, as adults, it's our job to protect them. And when it gets investigated, just tell the child to be open with the officer and talk to them. Because you may have found one thing, doesn't mean there wasn't something else. And through pictures, what we would find is that they would be asked to take pictures of themselves, which we'll say if it was explicit, technically that's child pornography. Having it on their devices is possession, sending it is distributing it, but soliciting is a crime. And the children aren't going to be prosecuted for this because
they're unwilling victims.
Correct. And there's this whole homework that needs to be done, and it will take the law enforcement a little while to do the investigation. But what we have to see also is, what do we do with the child afterwards? Because they were introduced to an adult world. And recognize pretty much every state has a victim advocacy group. That if their case is investigated by law enforcement and they've cooperated with the law enforcement, they're able to get treatment if there's not other ways for them to get treatment, such as their health insurance or their parents' health insurance. There are those avenues.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that much needed information. I'm hoping that the viewers were able to write down and jot down that helpful information that was shared. This is going to be off of this segment, but we'll come back to the main health show. Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson, the Alopecia Advocate, speaker, author, and host of the Main Health Show. If you're living with alopecia, struggling with self-image, or simply yearning to feel seen, heard, and whole again, I wrote this book just for you. My newest book, 52-Week Daily Devotionals and Alopecia Affirmations, Cultivate Empowerment and Self-Love Every Day of the Year, is a transformational guide to help you reclaim your confidence, restore your faith, and rediscover your beauty inside and out. Each day delivers a heartfelt devotional rooted in spiritual truth, paired with a daily affirmation designed to uplift your spirit, challenge negative beliefs, and replace them with radical love for you. This isn't just a book. It's a healing companion, a daily practice, a declaration that you matter. Your reflection matters. Your journey matters. Get ready to walk in your worth, speak your life into your reflection, and start each day with divine confidence. It's time to love who you see in the mirror every single day. You're not alone in this journey. And this book, 52-Week Daily Devotionals and Alopecia Affirmations, is your daily reminder that healing is possible and joy is your birthright. Let's walk in that together. And welcome back to the Main Health Show. This is a special segment where I call Main Question Rooted in Awareness, where I ask my guests a question about alopecia. And today, Jason is going to answer the question about future vision. Looking ahead, Jason, what changes or advances would you like to see in the conversation around alopecia that would benefit those currently affected by it?
What I see is the lack of awareness. Lack of awareness of what it is as a diagnosis, and it's in the mental health as well. And the relevance of it. As a treating therapist, I'd only worked with one client, and he was in high school, but through middle school, he was being bullied because of his bald spot, and he couldn't wear the hat.
Yeah.
But what I see is, I've seen you present, and what I see is that my peers, my mental health professionals, are not aware that this falls under an autoimmune deficiency disorder. They're not aware of how, when we look at the adverse childhood experiences, how those experiences can become a toxic stress and bring it out. And then we have the culture that won't allow that person to feel comfortable without having their hair, and whether that be a male or a female. And we could say that when I look at a stigma of males and females, okay, we look at females and they may have beautiful hair. Well, I see men that are very much attached to their hair as well, and that if they have a balding, there is a certain sense that they're not who they want to be. And so it affects both genders, and also affects all ages. And so if we can have more awareness in helping them and letting them know, you're beautiful the way you are.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you so much. We need more awareness when it comes to alopecia. That's going to do it for this segment of the Main Health Show. I want to thank you, Jason, for gracing our studio once again and bringing such an impactful topic. So you're going to have to come back again. But that's all it is for this episode of the Main Health Show. Until next time, I'm Stephanie Anderson. Take care and be blessed.